Hey, Lucien, how you doing?
I'm good, Megan. It's good to be on this call with you.
Yeah, my talk show. My
Your talk
I
show.
don't I don't know what I'm doing here.
You're killing it. You're so good at these.
I just miss people so
Yeah.
much. And I'm trying not to get the coronavirus for real. I don't want
Yeah.
it. It's getting
No,
scarier and scarier, I think.
we've had a few like phase twos or whatever. I don't know like how you guys are calling it, if it's colors or numbers.
I just do the same no matter what. I don't know. And I actually try not to watch too much news because it stresses me out. So,
Same. Same. Stefan is like often listening to the news, and we have a different tolerance for it. I get stressed and get like it doesn't help me.
yeah, totally. No.
So
But anyways, I'm so glad to have you here because
yeah,
we have a great history
we do.
and you're far away on the other side of the United States, so it's just a fun way to catch up and I'm excited for everyone to learn about your personal journey as an artist. So this will be cool.
Cool. I'm excited.
Okay.
There's a lot in there.
Okay, so we can start with well, we know each other because we were SAB buds.
We were
Yeah,
little teenagers.
like big time. Like something really struck me many years later once we all had jobs. We were like you were like my best friend in the dorms.
Yeah,
Like
I
I was
know.
in your room all the time eating your balance bars.
We didn't we went to prom together.
Oh, that's right.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, I think I remember a photo of you like on the stairs and me like
In this
kneeling to
uh,
you or
okay, I'll have to post it. It's really a horrible dress. I bought it in Utah at some department store.
I think I was wearing some really weird blue sweater or something
But like
too.
also
Like
when you're a student, you don't have money to get a
no.
nice thing. Oh god, I look back at that and I look so like unfashionable surrounded by a bunch of other New Yorkers at the prom that everyone else had something more normal and I had like a weird gown.
But we were trying. It's like you go from like these, I don't know, I was coming from a small town in California,
Yeah.
Utah, like it's, we have a different aesthetic now. We were just trying to be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, trying so hard. I was trying really hard. But something that struck me later is that like it's just so odd as a dance student. You're so close with these people, you know, coming from different places and different backgrounds. We find each other in the dorms, and there's that on point documentary now about
Yeah.
SAB, which so now everybody gets a little bit of a taste of like how close we get, and and then so quickly we get dispersed into our different locations. We lost touch immediately.
Completely.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
crazy. And like I didn't even like connect with you until like maybe 8 to 10 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was like when we started doing the Ballet Hawaii Nutcracker too that we really like
Well, that
had.
was, but I remember I didn't even see you until like you were at a Romeo and Juliet gala, and I was like, I miss him. Why?
That's
Why did we
true.
not stay in better touch? So we'll get on that, but
Yeah.
that's just a weird thing, right? That we
Yeah. But I think that's, I don't know, we have to be so focused in what we do. And
totally,
so I think you're the same kind of person that you're like very invested in what's right in front of you. And so it's not that like it doesn't devalue our relationship or anything like that or
totally,
the time that we had. It's just we're focused on other things.
absolutely, absolutely. So, were you there my first summer? It was '99.
I think it was both of our first summer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
which is like why we bonded so well. And then you waited one more year like me.
I did. Yeah, I begged my parents to let me stay that year, and they were not going to let me. Actually, similar story to one of the gals on the documentary. They were just like, they didn't want to let me go yet, which
Right.
was totally fair. I was 15 or something. And then I stayed the following year, which was that your first
That's
year too?
exactly what I did too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
went to PCS with me.
Went to
Yeah.
PCS. We did the prom at Tavern on the Green. Right?
And those
What's
years are
yeah,
so
I don't know.
important, but then you look back and you're like, that's like one small sliver of my life.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Have you had a chance, like here, I've done a little bit of some calls with like the students and just giving them some perspective, like of what it's like. And I keep relating back to my time as a student because everything feels so immediate. Your future, you don't really have a future. So everything that's right in front of you
Yeah.
feels so, so important. So this must feel so, so devastating.
Yeah.
And
I actually
trying to
took it on myself to reach out to a class and just like let them know because they missed workshop.
Yeah.
And I just told them I did 2 of them, and they were the most terrifying things I've ever done. So you're not missing out on anything that was necessarily a fun experience.
Yeah. That's great. I think that's cool if like our generation or people who have some experience can help. Because like what a hard time to be
A student
at like in ballet where it's like this time is pivotal. It's like you need to get seen by a director and
Yeah, but the one thing everyone has going for them is that they're not the only person out of the game.
yeah.
Everything just stopped. And that's what I tell people. It's not like you're injured and everyone's running off ahead of you. There's in a way we're just all in this little bubble of like waiting together. But what is going to be rough is that this pile of dancers that are looking for jobs is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as this time goes on. And hopefully what I'm worried about is companies laying off people and that pool getting even larger. So
yeah, I try whenever I can to use my voice to just like advocate for supporting dance companies, supporting the arts, because these like we need these institutions. We need
something when we come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs to be something there. So, do you don't have to, but do you want to talk at all about getting an apprenticeship and then switching to Seattle?
Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, we don't have to, but it could be an interesting story too for people.
I think so, and I think at the time it was. So do we like? We'll give a little background. That we got our apprenticeships together. At City Ballet.
So were you in the room? I don't even remember. It's such a blur to me. We were all in the room together. There was like 8 or 9 of us.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything specific about language that was said? Because it is a blur to me.
No, it was really overshadowed by what came.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I do remember the excitement. I do remember us all being called into the room and just like not knowing what was happening, but also knowing that I was surrounded by really talented people. So I'm like, I must be in the right room.
That's true. That's when you know.
Yeah.
Every time I've been promoted too, I'm like, oh, okay, we're not in trouble.
Yeah. Exactly. So that was good. And then it didn't last very long because I went out to celebrate getting my apprenticeship and got caught drinking. So I did get kicked out and lost my apprenticeship, which
that must have blown your mind. I mean, it blew all of our minds.
Yeah, completely devastating. And similar, like what we were talking about before, like that was all the future that I had. It was all I knew.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the life experience to balance me out and know like
it'll be okay. Yeah,
I'll be okay. There are other options. So it was completely devastated. Peter Bowl was really kind to me at the time. He took me aside after.
He was one of your teachers.
He was one of my teachers.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we've had this nice kind of arc that we've like followed each other's paths somehow. But he took me aside and he was like, there's going to be something that's a better fit for you. I know you're really like shook right now. He didn't say shook, but just really devastated. But you'll find a path that's better for you.
So what was the exact details? You got sent home. They caught you guys. You got sent home for 5 months.
5 months.
And what were you thinking in that 5 months? I'm going to come back and I'll have my apprenticeship again. That's
what I was hoping.
But you were not sure.
I wasn't sure. There were no guarantees, and I was really like so crushed. Like my spirit was just
5
destroyed.
months is a long time.
It's a long time. So yeah, I took class and I was like staying in shape, but like I just felt so disconnected from this life that I had built with all of you, and knew that all of you were like taking off in this great direction, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
just at home in my town. So mentally, when I came back, I was pretty defeated.
yeah.
Um, so
I feel bad
when
looking back. I must have been really distracted. Did I reach out to you enough? Feel like I should have been a better friend, or maybe you wanted privacy because we were all doing what you wanted to do.
I was honestly, I was ashamed. So I don't know that I needed privacy. It was different though. We didn't talk like we had to write letters or
That's
write
true.
email.
Or you had to press 15 buttons on the calling card number.
I know we're so dating ourselves.
We
Yeah, no, I don't remember feeling dejected or
Okay, because I regret. I wish I when I that's what I was trying to say when I look back. How did we lose touch so much?
hmm.
It's a devastating loss for you, and then we continued to have what you had been aiming towards. So I think I felt a little kind of like guilty that to be excited about what I was doing, about we were doing, and then you were where you were. So that was rough.
It's like I haven't thought about this in a long time, but it's nice to chat about because
Yeah,
and I felt my also probably just wanting to pull back a little bit because
yeah,
I was protecting myself and so happy for all of my friends, but my narrative was like, well, I'm better off this way, which as life turns out, I really believe that to be true, but
absolutely.
it's kind of one of those fake it till you make it situations where I was like forcing myself to be happy with what life had given me.
Yeah.
Um, but turned out like in a really, really good spot that
So
suited
did
me.
you came back to New York and then you got a big no?
Yeah, so I came back, had workshop, but it had already been casted at that point. I was coming back in April, and you know how the calendar works with that. Like casting has happened long before. They had left some spots for me, but I wasn't there for rehearsals. So
That was the Ballo year?
we did, yeah, I think it was Ballo and
Fourth movement Brahms?
Fourth Movement Brahms and Gentilhomme, I think.
Oh.
That
Possibly with yeah,
possible?
yeah.
Peter Martins. Yeah, so nothing was really I wasn't featured, so that was already an indication. But I had my hopes, and then after workshop, they just kind of said we don't have anything for you. Um,
Wow. I'm just
yeah.
surprised. I would have thought you once offered an apprenticeship it's a with, long-standing kind of offer, but I guess you did not immediately know this is off the table. You thought it was maybe still a possibility.
I thought so, and well, the classmates that had been hired at the beginning of the year, they were the ones who had been taken, and I just thought, well, I'm part of that group, so if I maintain my training and if
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep going,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So then it was just a chance to like figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I already had some good relationships here at PNB, so sought those out. And I don't know what it is about something about me. I've always sought adversity or sought like challenges to overcome because
Okay.
I think they deepen my artistry, they deepen my human experience.
Yeah.
So it really the devastation that I had there, I think, made me very emotionally vulnerable and prepared to like take on a lot of like more acting roles from a younger age than I
Cool.
expected. Yeah, so like my first year here, I was doing Prodigal Son,
Oh,
and yeah, which
who cares about New York
which
City
was
Ballet?
huge. And I think part of what my directors here, Kent and Francia, saw was like a depth that like even as a young person, I would be able to take that on. So
Cool.
yeah, I think things work in mysterious
Yeah,
ways. And
quickly, you must have not been regretting too much.
no, yeah, then my life kind of took off in this direction. So,
So how did that like lesson serve you?
geez, well, I think now I really think about it a lot. But like when times are hard, there's a lesson. There's always a lesson. So I'm looking for that all the time. And the way I just see life is a glass half full.
Yeah.
So I think that came from that experience. I mean, remember my grandmother lives in Connecticut, and she picked me up when I got kicked out. And I was just sobbing in the taxi. And she's like, there's a lesson here and you're going to be okay. And I've
But like
taken that.
you can't at that moment see
No,
it. As can none of these kids can who aren't able to dance during this pandemic and continue their studies and look for a job, you know. You're just seeing what you don't want, what you want not being able to happen.
Exactly. And you know, I use this story with the kids. I shouldn't call them kids, but the young dancers. That like even when you're devastated, like my dream is taken away just as theirs are. But we survive, and life finds a way.
Well, and you know, it's an interesting comment on dreams in general. We can have an idea of what we think we're supposed to have in the world and what we're supposed to search towards. And the universe has a different idea that might better serve us. And
that's a great lesson, I think, that I kind of take away from life is like when I find that there's a friction moment in my life, it's maybe when I'm fighting to force something.
It shouldn't be happening.
No, and if I let go of that and just spend my time listening more and removing that friction, such better things happen.
I honestly feel really strongly about that from my divorce. And you've been divorced too.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing. You come up against this friction and you eventually realize, like for me, it was this really abstract feeling of like, the universe shifting me in a new path, and I suddenly was like, oh, there's this other option I never even imagined before. I was so like this. I could not see any other possibility, and I never imagined there was any other way that I could be happy.
Yeah.
And you know, just kind of like sometimes it doesn't happen easily, and it's a rough change of direction, but there's still like great life to be had.
I absolutely agree. I think as dancers we have to be so focused and we have to drive our lives in a way. And learning that lesson is a hard one for people like us because we want to drive.
Well, we're determined. We make things happen. We've got a certain amount of stubbornness, I think, to do what we do.
Yeah, you have to have it.
Yeah.
So
you went back home. You're from the San Francisco area?
Yeah, Santa Cruz, which is about an hour and a half. So
you moved back to Santa Cruz for a bit and reached out to companies. How many companies did you feel you needed to network and reach out to?
Well, so I had a pretty strong relationship here at PNB. Kent and Francia had offered me a job when I was here on a summer course before I received my apprenticeship.
Great.
So yeah, I was like, I'm going to follow that path.
Good.
Because I wanted to hold out for City Ballet, I didn't take the contract.
As we all did. So that in between, what year did you go to PNB?
Let's see, it must have been 2002.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was hired in 2003.
Okay, so you went there for a summer program after all this happened.
Yeah. Oh, I've been going to summers because I don't know. Did you do summer programs anywhere else? I don't remember that you did.
I only went to SAB at first, and then once you do workshop there, you don't get to stay for the summer again for the next year. So I, after we did Divert in our first workshop together, I went to San Francisco.
That's right.
And I almost stayed there. I got offered a job there, and I almost stayed there. Because I think a lot of us, back then, they didn't give you any information about the interest that the company had in you as a student. So we were all flying blind, and we were like all getting these opportunities thinking, should I take them? And Tyler Engel really prides himself on being the one he remembers telling me that you should return for one more year. I'm like, I don't remember that, but okay, you can have that.
It's so fun. It's kind of fun to reconnect with these like different memories. I think it's good for me. Actually, it's very good we're talking about it because I did distance myself from a lot of that. I felt so seen and not in a good way. So I felt it from like, I'll even talk to dancers who I admired, like Jenny Ringer when she was here to stage something, having a chat with her, and people will be like, oh yeah, I remember that thing happened to you. That was so hard. And I get this sense of empathy from those stars that I looked up to who had seen this thing happen to me, or that but I saw it differently. I saw it as like I was this black sheep, this
Yeah, I
like
couldn't understand.
painful person. So when I did get to return for that SAB gala, I don't know if you were around for that. SAB had its like 75th anniversary that City Ballet did, and so like Paloma Herrera danced.
Oh yeah,
and,
I was around. I wasn't in that performance, but I was around. Yeah.
Yes, they had like principals from all different companies come back who had trained at SAB.
They came to dance on the stage with the company. Yeah.
Yeah, so I came and danced Forti's Melancholic, and like Peter Martin's afterwards was
You did? Okay, then I don't remember this. You came to New York City Ballet?
I did.
I just remember the women that came. I don't remember you coming. Oh my God, I feel doubly guilty for my lack of keeping in touch. You were right there.
I was there. And it was a really nice moment to like come back and to feel the support and feel
like
Peter
say? Martin.
Martin.
You were going to say Peter told you something.
Yeah, he was so complimentary. He was really, really complimentary and kind. He was like, I'm so sorry about what happened. You look great. So that like filled a little piece in my heart that was like...
That's satisfying.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, so, that's cool.
And validating to like, because I think there was always a doubt. I put City Ballet on such a pedestal as it is, but being away from it, I was like, oh, how do I compare? How do I, it's that comparative thinking that I think can be...
We all do. Because you spend the day in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
Working to make something perfect, and maybe A and B next to you are doing it more perfect, and so there's that. Yeah. How can you not?
Exactly. And so having that validation was really, really nice.
That's great. Yeah. That makes me happy.
Good. Don't feel guilty.
Well, I still am like, were you taking company class? Did I say hi? Did I just block this out and I was there and we said hi? Or
I don't even know if we said hi. I don't remember, but it was very quick.
I don't have a visual of seeing you.
I don't have a memory of that either.
I remember Paloma. Was she in the show with you?
Yeah. Did you see the show?
I actually no. I watched her rehearse with the three couples. That finale section she does with them, where she's one of the corners of the square doing whatever it is.
Yeah, I was so nervous. And Rosemary was running the rehearsals. It went super fast. Like I arrived on a Wednesday and the show was Thursday or something. It was really...
Oh, okay. Maybe I wasn't around.
Yeah, could be. I remember I was so nervous that like...
Because Paloma, she rehearsed for a really long time with the company.
Yeah.
For a couple, let's say 2 weeks. It was not a long time, but like longer than one day.
Yeah, they flew me in for a few days. These back bends.
Yeah.
My first rehearsal with Rosemary, I felt like I had something to prove.
I'm sure. So I'm sure.
Giving these back bends, and I went so deep that I blacked out. And I kind of collapsed, and I came to, and she was over me like, are you okay? And all the ladies around me who were, what's going on? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like,
once something like that happens, then all of the stress is gone, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like falling in a show you're nervous for, and then you're like, who cares now? I'm gonna just dance. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I love that we got onto the comparative thinking thing, because that's something that I have really worked to solve for myself. Because we're always looking around at each other or ourselves, and
also we are being cast by someone that's looking at all the options and picking the one they want.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the biz.
Yeah. There's a dancer in Monaco. I went to Ballet de Monte Carlo. I guess we can touch on that
We will.
later. And there was a dancer there, an American dancer, April Ball, who's just such an inspiration. And we'd have good chats. And she said something to me about like, I always compared myself to the best version of myself.
That's great.
Yeah. And I was like, duh, like, why haven't I thought of this before? Why has no one ever said that to me?
Yeah.
And it's something that really flipped things for me.
So I have this way of thinking of it that this is so cheesy, but I really had this revelation when seeing Hamilton on Broadway.
Okay.
There's this last song where the lyrics are, "The world is wide enough for both Hamilton and me." And I don't know why it like made a thing in my head. The way I was seeing opportunity was that we were all maybe in front of each other and suddenly thinking about this width that no, we're each in our own like swimming lane.
Yeah.
And no one's successes are diminishing mine. My lane's still wide open for me to fulfill my greatest potential. And so thinking in taking it from this linear approach to thinking more horizontally, I don't know why. That's
really nice.
How I think of it.
Yeah, and I think using that example, it's like if you're focused on someone else's lane, then it pulls you away from your lane.
You're doing a disservice to what you're capable of.
Exactly.
Because everyone is different,
Do you think this is like an age and experience thing? Because I hear younger dancers talk like this a lot.
It's how I felt just in junior high and high school in general. I was like, oh, that girl can do her hair that way. And I'll go to home and try to figure it out. And I was just trying to keep up and feel like, accepted and like I'm with the group that's developing and growing. And so for me, it was really, I had a real moment in 7th grade. I just I really struggled. I had so much self-consciousness and issues, and that takes overcoming. But I think you don't overcome it until you have little success here and a little success there, and you start to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you got promoted to principal, did you feel like, okay, I've made it now? Or did you, before you were promoted, I remember that was for me, once I have that goal, then everything will be solved for me.
Exactly.
And that was such a lesson for me when it was actually I'm still just as insecure. I still am just
and now have more responsibility.
Yeah.
I felt exactly the same. I got promoted way too young. So, I didn't even have the idea to want it yet. I didn't have that desire.
Okay.
So taking on that responsibility was a huge fear. It was like, I'm not ready for this. And I go into class the next day and I'm the same rank as Darcy and Kira who were in class. Is that ridiculous? Yeah. And I'm like, I literally just moved here from Utah 4 years ago. I just found out about New York City Ballet 5 years ago. It was just too fast. So for me, that played a huge part. But I definitely had this moment where I realized, oh, how interesting! This does not solve your problems.
Yeah.
It's not a quick fix. In fact, it only is more responsibility and pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More pressure, because I think as a young dancer, everyone's kind of behind you and at your back, and they want to see you succeed.
So easy to be the underdog.
Yeah, and I remember there's this moment that happens if we'll have complete run-throughs of Nutcracker when we're getting into that season, and we go through cast by cast by cast.
Mm-hmm.
And the new up-and-comers always get the whole room applauds them.
Yeah.
Which is so great. And I remember feeling that slip for me, where it was I didn't get applauded by my colleagues anymore because it was just expected. Yeah.
What you do have going for you, though, when you get a promotion is that you have the faith of your boss. And that can carry you a long way. And that's something a lot of people that are always searching for promotion, that would be something nice, that I think that's what you're wanting. You're wanting your boss to give you that validation.
That's so true.
You know? So
yeah,
that's the saving grace about it.
Yeah. So we've had some conversations, like even in Hawaii, talking about like our responsibility as dancers now. And this conversation makes me think about that a little bit. Like really, we're just all looking to be valued or looking to be
measure up.
Yeah. And if maybe that's something that like as the next generation of leaders or teachers or whatever it is, to pass that on to help solve some of the mental complexes that young dancers probably are struggling with.
Absolutely. Especially the youngest ones that join companies. Yeah. I think there should be some type of like coaching for that mental game that you have to play to survive. I've always thought, as I've spent time in the company, I've seen it as a game of Survivor.
Yeah.
Like,
it's your company, man. It's like,
well, if you can just hang in there, you're eventually, it's sometimes about the stamina, like I've seen people leave to go to P&B that I'm like, gosh, they were so close. And they gave up on the, like, thinking it's not happening for me. But then again, that's maybe the journey that they were supposed to take,
Exactly. And I think it is a little bit that, like, when I was coming up in my career, like City Ballet was the ultimate because that's how I went to SAB. So that everything was focused there. So I didn't realize the other options. And
I wonder if they do a better job of that now. They have, like, you know who it is? It's Alan Pfeiffer.
I know. my roommate. I love that.
He's in charge of facilitating conversations with dancers and then also directors. And I think there's a better support system for students at SAB to feel good about another opportunity. And they're much more clear about who the company's interested in. So you find out earlier.
Yeah.
And can then prepare, and you eventually realize the majority of the kids in that class are not getting into the company.
No.
Yet everybody has initially arrived with that goal in mind. So that's...
Did you have that goal when you did your first summer course?
My goals... I remember them being pretty vague.
Yeah.
First, my goals were small. I went to SAB because there was no other good training for me in Utah. I just wanted to be continuing to grow as a dancer.
Yeah.
And then I got to SAB and everyone was like so motivated to stay for the year round. And I was like, there's even a year round? I don't even know. But then by the end of the summer, I wanted to be that person. And so I think slowly the goal became, okay, yeah, I want to be in New York City Ballet. But until you've been there and seen the company perform and know what you're aiming towards, I can't say I grew up with New York City Ballet on the brain. We called it the Macaulay Culkin Nutcracker. I didn't know that was New York City Ballet.
Me neither. And I think that speaks a bit to like the drivenness that probably we have is like, well, this is the goal. Like New York City Ballet is up here. And so I'm just going to go for that goal. And so that's why I put it on this pedestal. But 2 years before, I had never even heard of New York City Ballet.
Well, and knowing if you aim your highest, you'll still land somewhere fantastic, right? Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we all just were challenging ourselves to be our best dancers and go to a place that was going to give us those challenges. And then, you turn into a one-track mind. Everyone wants to be in your, okay, so we're good. But yeah, I think it would be healthy to, I have to be honest. Sometimes when I teach, I'm very open about that. The majority of you in this class are not going to get into the company. You're going to find another great company to be in. And we want to work on skills for wherever you're going to end up or for that audition that you're going to be aiming towards. It's not just... It seems a bit unhealthy, right, for so many people to be let down.
Yeah, I think that's so great that you're putting that voice out there.
Well, and I hope that the fact that I am a principal with New York City Ballet, that I'm not saying that's the be all end all, is something of value to them.
For sure.
I have to say, I look around as I do gigs or meet a different dance, mostly gigs. You know, you get to see other dancers from other companies. There's some of the best dancers in some of the smallest companies.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that every perfect version of dancer ended up, you know, finding their way to New York. Everyone had different paths. And there are really capable, talented dancers everywhere. I find it really inspiring. I think that's really great. And I hope that younger dancers know that it's not a less of an experience. It's a different experience, but it's...
Absolutely. But I think it's good that they have voices like yours who are saying that, because if you're not given those opposing or different voices and you're just hearing the one that's like, New York City Ballet is it, you can't help but just gravitate in that direction.
Yeah, totally.
There is I have loved having my balancing SAD training.
Right.
And then keeping all of those sensibilities, musicality, being able to move quickly, like the dynamicism of that sort of training, but then mixing that with all of the other training, like the contemporary work that I do.
You do a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot of contemporary work. And if you can release a little bit of that training, you can find a way of applying it into all different kinds of dance.
Cool.
And I love that. It's really given me a good base that I can just build from.
That's amazing. So you're at P&B now, and we're talking back in the early 2000s. And how long before you started to get this itch to travel to Europe?
I think I was so focused on the immediate goals, like roles, promotions, that took my focus until I had achieved most of them. I was a principal. I had danced the rep that I was really looking to dance. And
when did you get promoted? What ages?
Gosh, so far looking back, I was promoted in 2008 to principal. So that means
you're 23.
23, yeah. So
are you an 84 baby as well?
84.
Okay, so it's the same math.
Good math. I'm always looking forward, so it's like when I have to look back, I'm like, what? How old was I? I was young. I was also young, not by any comparison to you and like.
Well, it's pretty close, 23.
Yeah, it was young, and anyways, I danced for a lot of the roles that I wanted to do, and then we had Jean-Christophe Maillot, who's the director in Monte Carlo. He came here to set his Romeo and Juliet, and that is what opened my eyes to like, oh, there's a whole other world that I haven't tapped. And at
this point, was Peter Bull your director?
He was.
So yeah, Francia and Kent were who first hired you, and then Peter Bull promoted you each time?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because Kent and Francia, I just had them for one year or 2 years.
Okay, interesting. That's probably a healthy way to have a transition, because we just had a transition at our company, and it's sometimes you can be someone that was in favor, and then things are different, or it can be a different experience when you have a different director. So that's kind of good that you were young.
For sure. I do think something that I've learned is that like work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Like if you're a hard worker and you're putting the time in, and you are like, that stuff over time becomes evident. So
Absolutely.
Even if you have a new boss, it may take a little time, but it's undeniable.
So the other thing I was thinking, though, for you to make this jump to go to Monte Carlo, Peter Bull did his own little jump when he was at New York City Ballet, so he must have understood what you wanted.
He really did. I think he's in such a compassionate man, and like a leader just by example.
So what company did he go dance with? Do you know?
I think Ballet du Nord, which is in it's in Tours, I think.
And do you know why he made that journey? Did he ever tell you?
Um, Gosh, I don't want to misrepresent
I
his.
don't think he was there for more than a year, though.
It was a short time, and I think there was something. He actually auditioned for Ballet de Monte Carlo, and wanted to dance there.
Hmm.
Um,
So he
yeah,
was
but
really itching for a different experience.
he was. Yeah, and I think there was something with Kelly, or I don't know what exactly
Oh, I
happened.
see.
But they decided to come back to New York.
Okay.
But he talks about that period a lot, and was very open to me going. He
I'm sure.
understood why I was hungry for it,
Yeah,
and really left the door wide open. He said, you know, I when if and when you want to come back, I don't know if you ever will, but the door is always open here.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
He's,
were you willing to go even if he didn't leave the door open?
ooh, good question. I don't know. I definitely took some security in
Yeah,
that I had this chance if things didn't turn out.
but like you
Although
weren't itching to get out that bad that you would have risked everything.
I was ready.
Oh,
Yeah,
you were. Oh, okay.
I was really ready. It helped having that support at my back.
Was this also the same time as your divorce?
It wasn't, but it kind
Okay,
of
it
lined.
wasn't for personal
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah, yeah. So I went there, yeah, for personal development. Really, I just
Uh huh.
was knew that like artistically there was more that I could learn. I was really inspired by Jean-Christophe's style, his way of working. He's such a charismatic leader, and I wanted to work in a company where the director was a choreographer. I
So, did
wanted to,
he offer you this job when he was in town?
he did, yeah, through a series of conversations. Yeah, we had to be like political about it, you know,
Yeah.
because you don't want to offend anyone, and um,
Yeah, yeah.
but we were pretty like as far as things go we were pretty transparent. Like we told Peter, at the time I was with my ex who was also a dancer. We told him that we were flying to Pittsburgh to go see the company while they were on tour, because we wanted to see the company before kind of taking the plunge.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, so it was very out in the open. um,
Oh, so your ex moved with you there?
did not.
Oh, I
uh,
see. Okay.
no, but he was like was considering it for a while.
Uh huh.
And then we were just at different points in our career. And so I went and he stayed here and started a dance company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was just like so eager to see the world and see like Ballet Monte Carlo tours
Yeah.
all over the world.
And
And to
P&B
learn,
is not big into touring.
not so much.
Yeah.
So and just wanted to learn more about myself as a dancer. Myself, I've always been on this quest to like get to this truth.
Uh huh.
And that was a step in that direction.
Amazing. So you were there for 6 years?
5 years.
I just made that up.
Yeah. 5 years, good guess. I was there for 5 years.
You also had the reassurance of going along with a buddy.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know Noe?
Yeah. I know her from Hawaii, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Noelani
always,
Fantastico.
yes, excuse me, Nolani Fantastico. I've always admired her. She's a few years older than me and was just this example of like beautiful dancing, beautiful person.
Right.
So one of the people that I looked up to, and then when we started dancing together, I was like, I remember calling my parents like, I'm dancing with Noe in Polyphonia, and we've like hadn't had any rehearsal. It was this crazy circumstance, someone gets injured, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But just so nervous. And then we had a moment where we were just dancing a lot together.
Fun.
And she sort of she was ready to go to Monaco before I was, so she went
Okay.
there, tested the waters,
Oh, okay. And she told you about it.
told me all about it, and then I followed her out.
Oh, that's great.
It was really good. It was really
So what's
nice.
life like there? I feel like you took to it very well. I always saw you on some like yacht.
It was good. It was really good.
Were you on yachts a lot, or were they boats?
Yachts. It's mostly yachts in Monaco. Yeah, I took to it very well. I think that journey for my truth. You know, I'm just looking for different experiences that can be just the super high end and also very simple and humble. I find myself happy in all of that. But yeah, It was fun. Monaco is beautiful.
Not
We
everyone
were.
likes it.
It's true. It's a particular company and a particular way of
Well,
living.
it's not. I'm not talking about the company. I would never be like. Not everyone likes it. um, the city is particular. It,
Yeah,
it's different. It's very she, right?
it is. I was really lucky to have some good friends who are like local and
Uh huh.
and out of the dance world.
Yeah.
I've always needed friends
Oh, that's
outside of the
great.
world. Yeah.
So
Uh,
healthy. It's so hard though to do. How did you find these friends?
um,
These people you speak
where can
of.
I find these friends? Yeah, Monaco is small, so that is really cool. That like we are like these very talented dancers in this very small community. So you're connecting with all kinds of very successful people in different fields.
Just like, how did you meet them? Like out at restaurants or what?
Yeah, out
Uh
at
huh.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely like a scene there of like going out to eat and going out to dance.
Cool.
Yeah, so made some really really good friends that helped keep me balanced and
That's so great.
yeah, supported
Cool.
me through my journey.
And did you like the way the company worked there? It's different. They don't know their schedule the next day.
It's very different. I was used to AGMA
Right.
and just all the union rules. I really enjoyed the intensity that we had in Monaco. It was like a singular voice, a singular focus that
Okay, but here's where I would get frustrated that everybody gets called to rehearsal and you only work on one person and everyone's sitting around the room.
yeah, that can happen.
So when you get called up to then work, you don't really know to be ready and warm. Like, what if are you spending like 5 hours a day just stretching in the back?
Sometimes, yeah, and you'll spend like sometimes your variation is run in the last half hour of the day,
Oh
and
my
you
god.
yeah. So it's a different kind of challenge of
Yeah, you gotta like always be ready to go. Wow, that's
yeah, but it's I think the difference is that I noticed was that Jean Christophe is it's his vision, it's what he wants, and so it's my ego didn't matter,
oh
uh,
okay.
and so that was at first something really hard to get used to because it just wasn't what I was used to. Just like I was a principal dancer,
Yeah,
I was used to having my time treated in a different way,
totally.
and like, this is like a great equalizer where like you're in the room with everyone and you're there for the work.
Is there a rank in the company?
There are ranks. It's kind of cloaked. Like you don't
Oh,
really. There's so many different levels of soloist. So like, because I think Jean Christophe really. I don't know if this is true, but my what I gathered was he likes to reward people and give them something that values their work, but keeps the rank of principal. There were very few. There were three of us principals when I was there.
okay.
So there are all different levels of soloist and
What's
demi
his
soloist.
background? Where did he dance?
He danced with John Neumeier in Hamburg,
Uh-huh.
and then I think he had a pretty bad knee injury, which he had to stop dancing pretty early.
And was
And
he
then
dancing classical repertoire or and
I'm not sure what the rep was at Hamburg at the time. Lots of Neumeier, I guess.
yeah.
His work is very influenced by John's work.
So what is his choreography like? Like we both know what a Wielden ballet is like, or maybe even a Peter Martin's ballet. You might have an idea.
Yeah.
If have you guys did do any Martin's ballets in PMB?
Uh, no, just the Gentilhomme in workshop
Oh
actually.
yeah. Okay, so no partnering. The crazy thing I was it's always like crazy partnering with the
Yeah.
arms screwed on backwards. So what's like characteristic of this choreography to you as a dancer, like in your body? Like, oh, that's always a struggle, or always like
Yeah.
this.
There is his musicality is very important to him, which I think is a great similarity to like Balanchine training,
Right.
which is why I think a lot of Balanchine trained dancers do well there.
Hmm.
Um, a struggle for me was that I was trained to hold a certain amount of tension and to keep my muscles like always ready
Yeah.
with this sort of vibrating thing. And I learned quickly that like he demands you have to move very quickly in his work and like hold something in stillness, not in in this tension.
Uh-huh.
So you have to like relax and disengage and re-engage your muscles very quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was finding myself at the beginning with a lot of like really pulled inner thighs.
Yeah.
Because I was gripping. And then learned that I could hold the same position with less effort and be more dynamic.
Right. And do you take that back into balancing work and more classical rep? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it opens up such, like I can dance so much bigger. I can at the same speed, but also have a release that just makes the movement, it amplifies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I love that. Yeah.
Cool.
For me, I'm always, when I'm dancing, I think about it as a game. Like I create little challenges for myself, or like I'm going through class, like, okay, I'm going to do this combination like this time. And I create these little games for myself.
Okay.
And I love the game of like, how expansive can I make this? How
That's interesting. I've never done that.
Oh, it's fun because then you take it to the limit. You get as big as you can go before the music is carrying you off.
I guess I have something I'm always working towards, but it's always a certain sameness, you know? It's not like, what can I release here? Or, you know.
I think
in a way, maybe I play with that, but don't really know it. But
I see that in your dancing, though, that you're like, you're pushing. Like
No, I mean, something's going on, but I don't have this, no, I'm going to do it this way before it happens. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, that game for me keeps it fun.
Yeah.
It keeps me engaged and present.
Okay, cool.
And we're also, our rep here is changing so much all the time. We'll do, like last season, we danced the Morris Pavon, which...
At PMB you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a Jose Limon piece, which is flat shoe, like but a lot of deep squats, like so modern, in the same rep as Theme and Variations.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right. So I was dancing both, and one night I was cast to dance both ballets. Which
one came first?
Morris Pavon came first, thankfully.
Oh no, that's not good. You got to do the fifth position and then let it go.
So Peter said to me, he's like, I think you're the only person that I can cast this way, and give that to you. Which I was like, thank you, but don't ever do this again.
Why me?
So we have that contrast. So I have to be always kind of changing how I'm approaching my work. What does this rep demand from me? What does this piece demand from me?
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a one-track career pretty much. I have a couple. I'm starting to be seen in a new way. You know, a year ago when we were dancing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just do the technical balancing ballets that are either in a peasant dress or a tutu.
But it seems like the principal ladies, you have your lanes in a way, like, right?
But like, who wants to be in a lane like that?
Yeah.
People are shocked when I tell them, like, Polyphonia, I did for the first time, I guess a year and a half ago, in the fall 2019, and it was like my first leotard ballet as a principal, and people were like, "What? Like, I'm not in Fortes, Agon, you know, I'm short, I'm not going to be in those."
Oh, interesting.
I've done duo, but it has a skirt, and square dance, it has a skirt, so I don't really count it.
To me, you read so long on stage, like.
But when you have a company of 100 people, there's always, you know, the longer version that goes for those geometric shapes, and then I can move quickly. Like Peter told me once, I spoke about this in my interview with Meryl, because she wanted to get out of her rep that balancing kept giving her, just the hard stuff, and she never asked to get out of it. But I did say to Peter once, how are people getting into these new works? I don't understand. Like, what? Is there like a secret code that I don't know? Like, and he was like, my dear, I need you for fifth position. And I'm like, oh my God. My thought process is, if you can do fifth position, you can also do other different positions. But fifth position can be hard. So if you can do it, they need you for that, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, is with your new directorship, is that sort of changing things a bit
possibly the eyes are opened a little bit, but the whole dynamic of the company's changing. The ballet masters are different too. Like right
Oh,
before Peter left, every like older ballet master was gone, and everyone was brand new.
okay.
And kind of the only authority you had was John, or sorry, not John, Peter.
Yeah.
Like to be like, okay, he's seen all the Balanchine ballerinas do this. He said it was okay. I know it. I can take that and feel like I'm giving out a good version. And then when he left, that was the real void for me. Is
Right.
now we're all the same generation, you know.
Yeah.
So that I missed, but we bring in more people now to kind of
Mm.
fill that void, and our ballet masters are getting more and more, experienced in the ballets they're in charge of.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't even know how we started talking about that, but that
No, but
I
it's been cool to see from afar how you all have brought in different people and different like coaches that I think weren't really there before for whatever politics or like
yeah, I'm not totally sure why. I think I imagine myself to replace Balanchine is an impossible goal
yeah,
task, right? So, and how many other cooks in the kitchen were there that thought that should have been their job too? And Peter gets that job.
yeah,
How do you maintain, um, a sense of being in charge when everybody else feels they should have been in charge too?
yeah,
At that from that generation.
yeah,
And so in my mind, that's what I kind of imagine of how it evolved to where it became a smaller, more insular world of these are the people we work with, and we're not needing extra ideas from the outside. It gets hard. I mean, I've seen even under Peter, there would be like there's this one time um, for the Who Cares Jumping Girl variation, there was like 3 ballet mistresses up at the front of the room that had this different version that Balanchine had given them. And the dancers are sitting there feeling torn between everyone's ideas and who are you supposed to listen to? I mean, too many cooks in the kitchen is really dangerous. Now we have no cooks, well, not no cooks in the kitchen, but we need that input. So
yeah,
it's more welcome because there's a void. But before we had enough to stand on that
yeah.
you have to have a person in charge and someone that can be like, we're going to go this direction. You can't have too many people feeling powerful in a way.
Yeah. Well,
So
especially as a dancer, if you're, because we take that on. Like
yeah,
there are different versions in the front of the room, you're trying to please everyone, or
it's exhausting.
yeah,
Yeah. So in a way, what he did, he simplified it, and
mm,
that's great as a dancer. You know what's expected of you because this one person is there saying this is what I want, and everybody underneath them says, well, we'll see what Peter thinks.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a clear line of direction. I don't know so much how it is now because I'm so established.
yeah,
So I still kind of get to do what I do,
yeah,
and I don't need as much input. Or is this version okay?
yeah.
So it could possibly be a little more difficult being younger, but maybe not. I think everyone just you adjust in your journey to new directorship in each in those different ways, and I think it all works out fine. But yeah, it's interesting to look back. But it's cool. The one thing I wish is that we were better connected to all alumni of New York City Ballet because
Mm,
you kind of revere these people that started these ballets that you do, and now to get to be more in touch with them is really a treasure. So
yeah. A little on that, like Chris Wheeldon was just here making the work for us, and we were talking about, oh gosh, I'm going to lose the name of his piece now, Mercurial,
love
Mercurial
it.
Maneuvers, which I remember watching Miranda Weiss and
And
Jock Soto
Jock,
dance,
yeah,
and just like, ugh, like crazy to like, it left such an impression on me.
totally.
And Tyler Peck, I think, posted a video of her and Tyler Angle dancing it. Um, and it was so cool to see it like danced, same ballet, danced very differently.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
Yeah, but it was like we had this nice conversation with Chris about like what it was like working with Miranda and Jock, what it's like working with Tyler and Tyler. And
We call it Tyler squared.
okay, Tyler squared. And I guess it was just cool for me to see that continuity of like how a piece changes, how it evolves, how it's the same steps, but just like interpreted through different quality.
You gotta be, gotta be also hard as a choreographer because you must have one version you prefer of who did it, right? You know, you must. It's like
I
having a
don't know.
favorite
So I don't want to
child.
speak for him or anyone, but he was very much like he loved how it was created, and there was things that Jock could do that like no partner. It's just like he's just so smooth, so such an elegant partner. And then he was talking about the generation that's doing it now. He's like they do it like in this such a dynamic way.
Right, that's
So
true. Everyone's
for him,
giving a great different thing.
yeah.
It's not
So
just different, it has its own amazing quality. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah, which I think is really clever as a choreographer too. And if you're alive, that really helps that you can like allow your work to like evolve. I think everyone is in the Balanchine realm is holding on to like, well, this was my version, and if Balanchine were here, he would change it for whoever or make it fit.
He would.
So, because I think at the end of the day, a choreographer wants their piece to look the best it can, and
Yeah.
If the dancer who's interpreting that role is struggling to fit themselves into a mold,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
going to make it work for that dancer.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I think my older ballet masters were able to have the confidence to say, "Oh, there's this other version, try it this way for your body." Like Joaquin and I could not do the same partnering as like Sophiane and Chuck Askegaard, like
Yeah.
in theme and variations. Like we don't have the length between us to make things like that happen. Like things do have to be
Yeah.
a different version from behind the scenes, right? The audience thinks they're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, they don't know. As long as I feel like my responsibility as a dancer is just to like give it 100% and sell it so that like it is believable.
Yeah.
Not seeing the slight tweaks or the modifications.
Well, and it has to be you in the role.
Yeah.
Otherwise, press play on the tape of Miranda and Jock and just play it
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
We're getting. So, how are you feeling about like all now like archival footage is just like popping up and coming out? Like, how is that for you?
Well, I'm glad we have it.
Yeah.
Thank God. You mean archival? How archival? Like us dancing a couple years ago and putting it in a digital season, or?
Just like for us, we have like dress rehearsals that were filmed that then are now streamed. And like that was a rehearsal. Yeah. Because a lot of times they'll film our dress rehearsal at a higher quality because there's no public, so they can have the cameras closer.
Oh, so you're doing dress rehearsals with makeup?
Yeah.
Okay, we never do. I actually look my absolute worst in the dress rehearsal. I like don't even put any makeup on. I'm like, about to get bright red. Like, why even try? Like, just put the hair up enough that it doesn't move, and get the dancing done well.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That allows you to like focus really on the dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm totally not distracted by. But well, no. And then you get to the show and you're just like, okay, this is what you do. You put on the makeup. You do. It doesn't make you more nervous that you haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But we perform more, so I think that would be ridiculous for us to do makeup and hair when we're doing. Do you guys just perform on the weekends at P&B?
We'll do like Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, like Tuesdays, 6-week season, Tuesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
That would just be crazy to have makeup dress rehearsals.
My understanding too is for you guys, you have more consistency in the rep too. So like.
That's true.
You've done theme how many times? Like you don't need to do the whole shebang.
No.
Dress rehearsal. Like
no.
I feel like you could do theme in your sleep. Like
no.
Well, you can.
It's always a painful struggle to pull out. But like that's one of those things that it's a worthwhile effort. I've done. Once you've done stuff that's that hard, you get given other ballets where you're like, wah, wah, like, okay, now I'm going home. I feel like I didn't even do anything yet. Like.
So, yeah, my struggle this last time with theme was that it wasn't long enough in a way that like I came out because it's these really manly variations, which like in a classical ballet, those come a little bit later when you're a little more fatigued.
Oh wait, so
Um,
what time of night are you performing theme?
like it closes the program.
So
Um,
it's like 9:30.
it's a little, but just energetically, like I still have this like I've warmed up. If I haven't danced the Morris Pavane before, like, I'm like
You want to
I'm
do more after theme? What is wrong
not
with you?
after. I no, but I noticed in my variations that I have too much energy in my legs, and so like
Well, because you only have that little bit to show off.
yeah, and so you're like, duh.
Yeah, it puts so much pressure. I mean, I'm like so tightly wound for my first variation. I almost like fly off the
Yeah,
ground because I'm just so like,
that's a
especially
bit.
the variations where we have to stay in the middle because the core is around us. I find more stress in those variations than when I have the whole stage to myself. I feel a little more like I can find my balance. But when you're
Yeah,
trying to stay on the center line,
yeah. Yeah, I think we've talked about this a bit, just like the mental aspect that goes into what we do. And I think like in Hawaii, you were talking about the meditation that you do. And same for me because that helps me be very in tune with where I'm at energy wise
yeah,
or
totally.
like in theme, like if I have too much power in my legs, I throw myself off.
Yeah.
And so being like calming myself down, like taking some deep
It's all
breaths.
about calming yourself down. I didn't
Yeah.
start meditating until maybe maybe I was like 29 or 30, so I'd already done like 9 years of theme without it. But once I did it, I was able to like be so much more in the moment in a performance. Like I heard the orchestra
Mm,
in a really more, you know, honest and present way. And getting in touch with the music has been my solution to getting out of my head and the nerves of because you got to be in your head for some things, you know, stay left here, da da da. I'm gonna do a turn, but um, but you don't want to be in your head of oh my gosh I'm on because I used to do this a lot. Oh my gosh I'm on stage. Okay, wait, here's this thing coming up that this step that hasn't gone right 20,000 times in rehearsal. Here we go. Ah!
it's like this roller coaster that you
Yeah.
just like.
That's what you want to shut off. So
Yeah,
that has done that for me that I can enjoy it and be in the moment and just listen to the music. That's what makes good dancing, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. So you meditate?
I do. Yeah, it's that my work. I feel like as an older dancer is more mental than physical because my body is trained. Like
Right,
it's
right,
it's there. So it's not the same like hurdles of like I have to get this jump or this thing ready.
right.
It's really like I've got to keep my mind in a good place because
To let this
if I,
happen to its fullest.
yeah, and like I'm a dancer that I'm already giving 100%. So if I get on stage and I let that adrenaline take over, then I'm giving 120 or whatever, and then I'm just a mess because I'm throwing myself off or being too dynamic.
Right.
And so the brain, if I can like train my brain, it helps me balance
Yeah, you're
that.
basically having to channel that adrenaline in a really special way because it can get the better of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a zen practice. Like what can I do without? How can I
Yeah.
calm my mind and just be here? But I mean, I don't think people get like the idea that so many people are watching and that you're doing it live.
Hmm.
It just creates this adrenaline you didn't even mean to have happen.
Yeah.
And so learning how to manage that as a professional, that's like the name of the game.
Absolutely. I think as a young dancer, the adrenaline, we want that too because it gives us that extra. But I think it's like anything, if you go too much of anything is not good. And so now at this point, as an older, more mature dancer, I need to like curb the use of that adrenaline
Uh-huh.
um,
Yeah.
rather than fuel on it.
Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when
Yeah.
you how did you make the decision to come back to P&B?
I wanted to dance classical rep again.
Yeah.
So just always had that bug. And I felt like I learned a lot being in Monaco, and wanted to kind of apply what I had learned there into my classical work. Um, Everyone that they're like, what are you thinking? Like, why would you go back to classical after contemporary? But I've always been looking for a challenge, I guess. And I think there are some things that it's really helped my
Well, I mean,
classical.
you're taking classes in Monte Carlo, regular ballet classes, right? You're doing double tours every day, right?
Yeah, it's classically based for sure.
Would you do a double tour every day?
In Monaco, no.
Oh, okay.
No. So there were things that like Alice Cone turns, double tours, double assemblée
that you let go of.
That I just didn't focus on. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I guess, yeah, that is letting go. It wasn't needed. So a lot of those things I've had to like re-find again.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. And find in a way that like, because the whole way that I held my core changed.
Uh-huh.
So I guess maybe it's like being pregnant or something, but like had to re-find a way of like using those muscles.
You have a new relationship with how your body's going to interpret these movements.
Yeah. Exactly. Which comes with like, honestly, I ride that line between feeling really great in what I'm doing and also insecure. Because I think when I'm challenging myself to do something new all the time, which means that I don't have the confidence at my back of like, I got this.
But it sounds like you thrive on that.
I do, but I kind of am learning that like the double-edged sword to that is like that missing that confidence sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I operate more on the other side. I like to stay in the confident zone once I find it. But when I went to Broadway, that was my moment of, what the hell am I doing here? Like every day was like, first of all, I couldn't believe I got the part. But every day I was like embracing the opportunity to make a fool of myself. That was literally how open I had to be, because I was singing in front of professional singers. And I'm not a singer. So I really had to be so open-minded. So for me, that was my stretch myself out of my comfort zone. And I felt that too. I was 30. I was ready for that. Probably. Yeah. What age did you go to Monaco?
I was 28, but I think it's that similar. It's that.
You're like, okay, I've done this. I could do. If there's another opportunity, let's go see what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And it informed my dancing when I came back.
Absolutely. I always think that like my formative years, like PMB was like my formative time, and then going to Monaco was like transformative.
Oh, interesting.
Just, like, like I had the foundation. Thank you. Yeah, and then like I had that base, which allowed me to become something different.
Yeah, yeah. For me, when I came back from Broadway, I think one of the reasons it made me a better dancer was because I was like, oh, this is what I'm good at. I just spent a year like trying to sell this, which is like not really like, I am not cast as the sexy girl in Fancy Free, right? That's not something I get cast in, but I spent a year doing it. So as fun as it was, and what a great experience it was, I can't believe they gave me that opportunity. To come back was like, I owned being a ballerina more. Yeah. In a very personal way. And I wonder if you found that when you came back to classical repertoire.
Yeah, I think it's all like perspective. Like sometimes I need that to pull away to appreciate. And I approach my classwork. Coming back here was a complete shift for me about like how I approach class and the way that I work. And having that perspective of being in Monaco really gave me that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So how many years have you been back for now? Like,
this is my third season.
Oh, so not long.
Not long.
Wait, when I saw you in Hawaii, was that your first year back?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We had the funnest time. That was one of the funnest times I've ever had in Hawaii, because first of all, we had this amount of excitement over not having spent time together for so long. Yeah. And we have such great chemistry that it was like, Yay!
I know. I have to remind myself sometimes. I'm like, you are here to work. Like, you're here to do a show. Because I think, like,
It
well, for
happens.
you,
The
I
show
think
happens, and it happens well. But like, you gotta have fun in the day.
absolutely, and you're very good at that. You, I think you've been there for a long time, so have that
Well, I learned
comfort.
from Joaquin. He
He's like on the beach,
he
like
is
surfing,
such a special.
and
Well, first of all, he's incredibly professional. Actually, I mean, he is not
yeah,
gonna go out and not ever look great, right?
no,
He has
he's
such pride in himself. I'm telling you how many times I've spent in the studio with him rehearsing when he couldn't do more than like 3 pirouettes or wasn't pulling in the right way that he wanted to or something wasn't happening. Literally, he would like just leave the room.
yeah,
He can't handle not being that great. So for me as a young person, I first went there when I was 19 for these Nutcracker gigs to Ballet Hawaii. To see someone that professional also enjoy the sun and
yeah,
the beach in the same intense way,
yeah,
that's great for a young person because I don't know how you felt when you first started, but I felt like I'm supposed to be like this and like be doing exercises all day long and stretching and eating a salad and not getting a sunburn
yeah,
and to be around people that know how to enjoy life and also can be excellent as they
yeah,
are as dancers, that's always really I think that's helped me so much because I can be very like limiting in what I would allow myself, and so I learned from the best. I learned from
yeah. Well,
Joaquin.
he's an inspiration. I think you can see that, like, he does the work. Like,
He
he
does.
knows his body, so he knows like what he needs to do.
He's never gonna be out there and do less than he's capable of. He's too prideful.
Yeah. Well, he's so good.
He's so good. Why would you want to do less, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's the other thing. Once you get really good at something and get so consistent, that stubbornness. Like I'm not gonna go out there and do not that, right?
Yeah.
So
No, he was a great example. Actually, coming back from being in Monaco, I was trying really hard to like get back into a classical thing, and I remember he would like, he's like, I'm just going to take yoga today as my warm up. I'm not going to take the warm up, or like he knew so well what he needed,
and
and was,
honored himself in that way, yeah.
yeah, and I really that taught me something.
Really,
Um,
he wasn't a kind of person that was ever like if he didn't show up to class, it wasn't like, oh no, is he not got his head in the game?
yeah,
He's you just know he's gonna come out and give his this level of performance.
yeah.
So there was
That's a shift for me as my approach for class because I've always for a long time thought like class is a chance to like perform in a way or show that you're ready and show like it was more about the front of the room than my
oh
experience.
interesting.
And as an older dancer, I've really taken class as mine.
Well,
Um,
you can though, but see, the way we have to start out, we have to get into the company first.
that's it.
So you got to play that front of the room game.
That's it.
And then eventually you're like, okay, well, you know what I can do. I just need to make this happen on the stage.
Yeah, and know that sometimes that you can prepare yourself better or like for what you need
Totally.
in a way. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how's the
I
pandemic?
what's that?
How's the pandemic going?
How is it going? I have been really busy, busier than ever.
So you
So we've been back to work, but we're filming everything.
okay.
So we have this pod system, which is really inventive. We are the target changes every day based on the numbers, but the max we can have in a room is 4 dancers in a room, and you're podded together for the entirety of the program that we're working on.
So they can only do ballets with 4 people at a time.
Yeah, so so the choreographers have been very clever about like when we film, they'll film one pod and then we'll have a half hour or whatever clear air time for all the droplets to settle, and then bring on the next pod. Um,
They're doing something
yeah,
crazy at our theater. You have to be like not in the room for like an hour and a half or something.
it's not an hour and a half, but there's like a clear air time. So my day we're working, but my day is usually 4 hours, 3 4 hours max, because we have to split the schedule and like I'll be in like morning pod, and then the evening pod has to come in later.
Interesting.
Yeah, Peter and the company and the union have been worked really a lot. Like we started in May, I want to say, like renegotiating our contract.
So did you take a pay cut to continue?
Yeah, yeah. The company approached us and said like, we either have to end your contract, or we have to renegotiate.
Right. So how are they selling? How are they getting any money from this?
What did our executive director call it? She called it just a loss prevention strategy. Basically,
Okay,
like we're
so
not
you're taking a loss.
Major. I mean, when we canceled our reps, it was like millions, tens of millions.
Because they're paying you to be there now, but they're not getting any ticket revenue.
Exactly. We are getting some digital ticket revenue,
Okay.
but it's like a drop in the bucket.
And does this seem sustainable till next fall?
It is. I mean, we negotiated the contract in a way that it would be.
Cool.
So yeah, it is. It is good. There are some dancers who are. Everyone has different comfort levels too. Like some dancers are like, well, I don't want to dance with a mask. It's like it's a barrier, and other dancers don't even want to come into the studio. So the company is being accommodating for. Well, not everyone has to wear a mask.
Yeah.
they're not being accommodating for that, but they are being accommodating for people who like just don't want to come in because they are putting either themselves or someone they're caring for at risk. So we've like created digital initiatives that they can work on.
Oh, interesting.
Personally, this has been a really rewarding year, dance wise. Nice. Yeah, because I've had like 4 new creations
That's
on
great.
me, which I love. Like Chris Wheeldon was just here, and we had an amazing process. And I've always missed him somehow. Like when I was in Monaco, or we've never intersected, and this is like amazing.
That's so great.
Yeah,
I love that.
I say it was great to work with Chris, which it was, but there are moments where we have. Like often he couldn't be in the studio with me because that would be like mixing pods because he was contaminated or whatever.
From like pod B and your pod A.
Yeah, so we'd be doing Zoom rehearsals where we have this big screen at the front of the room, and with Zoom there's a delay with music, so I would have to play the track from my computer, but also spotlight him when he was giving the steps. But then spotlight myself so that my second cast could see what I was doing. So I was like DJing Zoom calls, like running to the computer, changing the spotlight, queuing up the track, running to my mark, and then trying to execute steps and be an artist.
I don't know if I'd want to be doing that right now.
It wasn't all like that, but there were moments that I said to Chris, I'm like, I don't mean to be a diva here, but this is really hard. Like I'm trying to listen to what you're giving me and interpret it and show some artistry.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm having to like admit so-and-so into the rehearsal and cue up my track.
Because you can't have another person in the room to do this for you because,
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
That was the worst. I mean, we've gone through, as our numbers go up and down, then we figured out systems where we have like a balcony in our big studio, so it could be on the balcony and I could be down below. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, though, you guys have lots of big, airy studio space. Like ours is like a cement box.
Yeah.
It's from the 1960s, right? So
do you guys have a plan or
the fall?
The fall.
I think they were hoping for Saratoga, but I think that we are being told not to hope for it because they have SPAC, Saratoga Performing Arts Center, where we perform in the summers. They have been categorized as an indoor theater, even though it's an outdoor space, because backstage, to cross backstage, and it's quite indoor backstage, obviously. Okay. As most outdoor theaters would be.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do little things here and there, but
Mm.
we live in New York, and we're a company of 199 people.
Yeah.
And you just limited like that. We've all been frustrated. They've tried to explain to us, it's like, if we were a smaller company, like a small yacht,
Yeah.
we could remaneuver, but we're a big cruise ship.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard to take the whole ship, and I did for my business school, I did a model about like, when can New York City Ballet come back
Okay.
with a group, and the numbers were like really insanely crazy, and it gave me a lot of respect for the fact that, because I think there's some of us in my company, they're like, why can't we make anything happen? We're seeing other people do things here and there. Our business model is unique in how much we rely on that frequent performing, and we perform more than any other company in the U.S.
Yeah.
6-week seasons of every night, and such a large house.
Yeah.
And we don't have to pay for a theater, and all of the way that we're set up, we're just not able to quickly transition into a new situation. And when we don't have ticket sales, we can't function. So that's been the hard thing. So I have a lot of respect for the decisions they're making. And the whole mentality is, well, we want something strong to come back to. We have great financials and everything, and they don't want to destroy what we have to return to.
Yeah.
So we're getting paid here and there every once in a while, like sub payments to unemployment, and
So are they like supplementing like unemployment somehow, or
so I'm getting my rehearsal salary for like 3 months.
Okay.
But that's great, right?
Yeah.
It's not a year and a half of nothing. That's for
really...
sure. And have people had to move and figure new things out? For sure. A lot of people gave up their apartments in Manhattan.
Okay.
Not everyone. The younger people and people that were more in transitions in life, and are doing different things, because it's a year and a half, So anyways.
That clarity, though, it does help for people to plan their lives, so that it's fall season. So it's not...
The sooner you know, the better. You can just go commit to something else, right?
Exactly, because we have our lives too. You need to, like, if it's not dance, that's something I've learned. Like, if it's not dance that is the vehicle for my creative expression, it's going to be something else.
Okay, let's plug kombucha.
Yeah, yeah. So I launched a kombucha business, the batch kombucha.
How? What? How do you make kombucha?
It is fermented tea. And so there's a whole process of, you brew your tea, then you ferment it, and then... How
do you ferment it? With grapes?
No, there's like a special, it's like a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. Let me adjust my glasses.
Where do you buy this bacteria?
You can get kits online.
Okay, so you just like made it for yourself one time, and you were like, wait.
Yeah, so when I was in Monaco, I started brewing it. We have a friend who invited a kombucha master from LA out to Monaco.
Okay, that is so an example of the situation I was talking about.
Yeah, so I started making it there, learned from the kombucha master, and so you get this colony which keeps replenishing itself, similar to like sourdough, which everyone's making. And so my SCOBY, is the short name for it, has been to LA, it's been in Monaco, and then I brought it here. I've been making it for 7 years. And so when I couldn't dance, I was like, what can I do? And what are things that what are skills that I have?
Yeah.
This is something I just did for my pleasure and part of my diet, actually. Like I really enjoy drinking kombucha. It keeps my immunity balanced and has lots of really good benefits. So
plus it has a wee bit of alcohol.
Depending on how you ferment it, true. Little bit.
Just someone like me from Utah, that feels like scandalous in the middle of the day when you have a kombucha before rehearsal.
Just loosens you up a bit. There is, it has, it boosts serotonin levels also, which like elevates your mood.
Yeah.
And I find myself, my body does crave it because it is really this nourishing drink. So
you're bottling in your apartment?
No, so I was at first just doing really kind of low key, and then learned about the whole process that I got a commercial space, and so I'm brewing like these. It's still small batch, but on a larger volume. Doing like my kombucha.
How are people buying it?
So they through my website,
Okay.
which is drinkthebatch.com.
Okay, it's gonna go across the bottom of the screen.
Exactly. So it's currently just in Seattle. I do have some clients who are FedExing their boxes, but it's a live product. It's fresh. So some kombucha brands will pasteurize, which kills all of the probiotics and all of the healthy stuff, and then they reintegrate probiotics. But mine is just fully natural, which does make it a little more alive. So that's why I'm like right now Seattle is my network, though I plan to expand nationally. So actually it's very sweet. Chris wheeled in when he was here. He loves it. So there's a little plug. And he was like, I'm bringing this back to New York. It's going to be my Christmas gifts for everyone there. So he
cool.
He came back with like 2 cases of kombucha, which I was like, thank you.
That's so awesome. I love that.
It's been cool, and it's a nice entry to learn about business.
Life after ballet.
I immediately when this started, I signed up for Cornell University offers like entrepreneurship certificate programs.
Cool.
So I signed up for that, and I've just been learning about building a business.
That's
the
so
taxes,
cool.
The accounting, all that fun stuff.
Robbie's doing his business too.
I love that. I'm so excited for him.
He's really into it.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I wanted like sidebar, just reach out to him on like how that's going as a small.
Yeah, you guys should connect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would love to.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this.
I'm definitely I'm more creative brained than business. I enjoy. It's interesting for me, but
honestly, you have to be creative to be starting a new business.
Yeah.
My analytical brain can't process that my brother was like, I think I can do this, and just did it. I'm like, I don't understand. Yeah. I'm so like, by the book, give me the steps to do, and I'll get them done. You have to be a dreamer.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not a dreamer.
Balanced with that, yes, you are. Well, maybe I should talk to you because you've got have you graduated yet?
No, I'm like a third of the way through. I'm taking as many years as possible because I want to be done when I'm done dancing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm taking a strategy class now.
Cool.
6 hours on Sundays.
Ooh. Do you have a direction yet? That's such a hard question. Cool.
No. Yeah. Again, I don't dream large. Honestly, I've realized as I go through life, I go, what's the next step to challenge me to be my best? Mm-hmm. And I do that. And the goals are always to keep options open, but it's never limiting in terms of a specific dream. I think I don't have enough confidence to say out loud what I want to make happen.
Okay.
I try to set all the players up.
Yeah.
And let it play out and hope that I gave it its fullest opportunity. But
that makes sense, though.
It's a confidence thing in me. I can't. Maybe men are better at it. I'm reading that Lean In book as well. It's a genetic, like a gender thing that like to be that confident to go out and be like, oh, I'm going to risk all this and do that.
Yeah.
You must have had to put a certain amount of money into this business, and that might have been scary in the pandemic.
I have, but not. So I've been doing it in a very organic way.
Okay.
So I've just been growing my circle.
Baby steps.
I have put some money in. Now I'm to the point where I do need to make some more major investment as far as like there's some equipment that would make the business a lot better, or like actually hiring people.
Robbie has people he pays, and he invested in this large flower fridge in his apartment. Like he has an outdoor space that's not usable. Okay. And he got a custom fridge made to store all the flowers in there. I mean, I would have never spent money on this and thought that's a good idea. And he's like, it's working out so well. So I'm so
That's so great. I do see that he's taken a leap. I'm definitely more modest because I'm using this as an opportunity to test the market as more of like an education too, like listening, listening to like I put out a recipe or put out a brand like a formula. How do people like this? What do they like about it? What do they not? So I can tweak and grow in a way that like.
So you're taking a lot of customer feedback.
Yes, absolutely. It's so my brand is like an elevated kombucha. So it's really about the experience of the person. So it's like, yes, it has, I want to say it's like post kombucha. Like we already know what kombucha is. We know the health benefits. The market is saturated. Like, do we need another kombucha brand? This is more of like a lifestyle sort of thing where it's like the care and quality that goes into it. You should feel that and enjoy that in your glass. Cool. That is a simple luxury is what I call it. Like, it's like, you know, for when you want to treat yourself or from
your Monaco years and experience, simple luxuries.
Yeah. And people now I think are looking for alcohol-free alternatives. So this is a drink that like it's presented in a wine bottle.
It feels festive.
It feels festive. It feels sophisticated. So you can have it on your dinner table at a restaurant. And
love it.
Yeah.
You're so fancy.
Thank you.
Okay, we've been talking an hour and 45 minutes.
It's crazy, but like we have this.
We could do a 6-hour show, Lucien.
We sure could.
I still have more questions. Maybe we'll do a part 2.
That would be fun.
Okay, but buythebatch.com.
Drinkthebatch.
Drink the Batch. And also you should buy it. But it's drinkthebatch.com. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Stay on, we'll chat more, but we'll say goodbye to all of the viewers and
yeah, I just want to thank you. This is so nice to like connect with you.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Because if we went on a regular Zoom call, we would not have like had such quality conversation.
Yeah, I think it's very cool, and you're really good at this. You've got you're engaging as a speaker, so it's cool that you're sharing that with people.
I think I'm just really curious about people and why they make decisions they make and how they deal with struggles. And I have too much feeling in my own life. I like to know how others process that. You know, yeah. I like connecting on that and feeling universal things, you know.
I love that.
So that's why. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks, Megan.
Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.